The red light inside his helmet was blinking fast now. Biofilter. 1%, that meant maybe 3 breaths. Maybe 4 if he stayed still. Lieutenant Kern, a human rescue soldier, sat on his knees beside a broken steel wall. His suit was torn on the right side and blood had dried along his arm. The moon's air was toxic without the helmet, he'd be dead in seconds. But the filter was dying. Crash had damaged everything. Smoke curled from the remains of his ship, which had been hit. During the mission, static still buzzed in his earpiece.
Oh.
No one answered his distress signal. He was alone, or so he thought. A faint groan came from deeper in the wreckage. Kern turned his head slowly. Dust blew across the ground. Shadows flickered in the smoke. First, he saw nothing. Then, he saw her. She wasn't human. Her skin had a soft silver-blue glow, cracked in places. Her eyes large, gold, and frightened, locked onto his. Her body was pinned under a fallen metal beam, and her left leg was bent in a way that made Kern wince. She was one of the Makairan warrior, bred to hate humans. Kern hesitated. His hand went to his sidearm. She could be dangerous. But she didn't move to fight. She didn't snarl or scream. She just looked at him, helpless, dying another warning. Flashed bio-filter. 0.5%. His breathing became sharper, faster. His heart thudded in his ears. He should save himself. Try to walk to the emergency beacon tower. Maybe someone would pick up the signal. Maybe, but... Then he looked at her again. Her eyes were wide, not angry, but pleading. She didn't ask for help, didn't speak, just lay there, chest rising slow. Eyes filled with something Kern hadn't seen from Makairan before. Fear. She reminded him of someone. A girl he had failed long ago, his sister. Lost during the first wave of the alien war. Trapped, alone, terrified. No one had helped her then. He couldn't walk away, not again. His hand shook as he reached up. The helmet hissed as he unlocked the seal. One twist, one breath. That's all he had left. The alien watched in silence. Her breathing shallow, Kern pulled the helmet off his head and gasped. The cold, toxic air clawed at his lungs like smoke and ash. His throat burned. He stumbled forward. His knees hit the ground. He reached out, placed the helmet over her head. Her eyes widened as it locked into place. She breathed in slow, clean air. Her body trembled. Kern fell back, coughing. He pressed his hand over his mouth. Already his skin was turning pale. His chest hurt with every breath. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then her lips moved inside the helmet. Why? He smiled weakly, 'cause no one did. For her, his vision dimmed. The sky above looked like a cracked mirror. He lay on his back, staring at the broken stars above. His thoughts slowed. He heard her voice again, faint, but stronger now. Human, you gave.
Right.
Your breath. He didn't answer. His eyes fluttered. She stared at him, shocked. She had fought humans, hated them, been taught they were monsters in suits. But this one, this dying man, had removed his armor, had given her the one thing he needed to live. Oxygen. Why? Why save her? She looked around. The place was collapsing. She couldn't lift the beam on her own, but she could move. She could crawl. With great effort, the alien slid her arm out, then her other. She winced as pain shot through her leg. But she crawled toward him. His body was still, face calm, eyes half closed. No, she whispered. Not like this. She pulled his arm. It was heavy. He didn't react. She dragged him with all the strength she had left. The smoke grew thicker. The base shook under them. She reached a safer corner, away from the main wreck. There was a crashed medical Peta, human one, broken, but maybe something inside. She laid him down. His chest was barely moving now. She pulled open the medkit with shaking fingers. So many tools. So many blinking lights. She didn't understand human tech, but she saw one red needle with a symbol-life injector. She stabbed it into his neck. His body jerked. She watched, praying to a god she didn't believe in, and then he coughed. Asterisk, the helmet felt heavy on her face, but the air inside was clean. It didn't burn. It didn't choke. It was soft and warm, like a second chance. The alien warrior blinked, trying to understand what had happened. Just moments ago, she thought she would be crushed under steel, lungs failing. And now she was breathing. Her gold eyes glanced to the side. There he was, the human, lying still. His chest moved, but barely. His face was pale, lips dry, skin turning an unnatural shade. Why would he do this? Why give her the helmet his? Only life support without even knowing her name? She had learned to fear humans. Her people told stories of Earth's armies brutal, clever, merciless. She had trained for years to kill them, not trust them, not owe them her life. And yet, here he was. Her body ached, but she pushed herself up. One arm, then the other. Her legs screamed in pain, but she didn't stop. She crawled toward him. His eyes were half closed. He didn't move. Human, she whispered. Her voice was rough, unused to speaking his language. Why did you help me? No answer, only the sound of his fading breath. She leaned over him and placed the helmet gently, back over his face. He needed air now. She owed him that much. Click, hiss. The helmet sealed. The clean air flowed back inside. Still, he didn't wake. Panic burned in her chest. She looked around, broken steel. Dust in the air, red warning lights blinking weakly in the wreckage. No other humans. No other Corinne. Just her. And the one she couldn't let die. Not after what he'd done. She dragged herself to the crashed pod nearby. A human medkit had spilled out from inside. She opened it with clumsy fingers. The inside was filled with blinking devices, needles, patches, and strange bottles. She didn't understand the language, but one injector had a red ring and a small heart symbol on it. That had to mean life, didn't it? She crawled back to him. Skin was cold now, without thinking too much. She stabbed the injector into his neck. A second passed. 2. Then he gasped. His whole body jerked. His hand reached out blindly as if trying to grab something. Her eyes widened. You're alive. His eyes opened slowly, and he blinked against the soft light. His lips moved. She leaned closer. You, he rasped. You ran. She shook her head. No, I stayed. Brow furrowed in confusion, then relaxed. A faint smile formed on his lips. That's crazy. She almost smiled back. But before she could say more, sharp sound echoed through the wreckage. A faint mechanical click. She turned quickly. In the distance, behind smoke and shadows movement, small red dots of light danced across the broken metal. Enemy drones. Corinne technology. Her kind's machines. And they were scanning for survivors. Her blood turned cold. If they saw her with him protecting a human, they'd fire. No warning. No questions. That was the rule she reached for. Her spear, but it was gone. Lost in the crash, she had only one choice. Her arms still weak, she pulled the human's body close, her damaged leg dragged behind her. She crawled toward the side corridor, one that led deeper into the ruins. The drones passed by, scanning but not spotting them. She pressed her back against a rusted wall, holding her breath. Her body shielded his. The smell of oil and blood filled her nose. The drones hovered for a moment and flew off. Silence returned. She exhaled slowly. The human's voice came again, soft and tired. Why didn't you leave me? Down at him, her golden eyes serious. You gave breath, she said. I give it back. He chuckled weakly. That's fair. They sat in the quiet for a while. Her people would call her a traitor for this. Her commanders would punish her if they found out. But she didn't care anymore. She didn't even know his name. But something had changed inside her. This human was not like the monsters in the old stories, and maybe she was not the same warrior she had been. He didn't move for a long time. The alien warrior sat beside him, holding her side where sharp pain pulsed through her ribs. She had wrapped a torn cloth around the wound, but her blood still leaked slowly. Her broken leg was stiff and useless. Her muscles screamed for rest, but she didn't rest. Her golden eyes stayed on the human's pale face. He had stopped breathing once already. Now he lay so still that doubt began to grow inside her. Maybe he hadn't survived. Maybe the injector only gave him a few more seconds. Now he was gone for real. She reached out and touched his face. Cold, her heart thumped harder. "No," she whispered, voice trembling. "You don't die now." She pressed her ear against his chest. Nothing. Silence. She sat back, teeth clenched. What was she supposed to do now? She had fought in 2 wars. She had survived firestorms, ambushes, and poison. But now, for the first time in her life, she felt helpless. Not because she was dying, but because someone else had died for her. And that someone was the enemy. Her fingers curled into fists. This wasn't how it should end. She looked around and spotted a damaged drone on the floor. Its red eye was flickering weakly. She dragged herself toward it. She tore open the side panel and ripped out the small power cell. Then she returned to him. She didn't know what she was doing. She had never used human tech before, but maybe life was life. Energy was energy. She pressed the cell against the helmet's connector port. Sparks flew. The helmet hissed. Suddenly a breath. He gasped again, sharp and sudden, like someone coming back from underwater. His chest rose. The alien's eyes widened. She stared in disbelief. He was alive again. His lips parted, dry and shaking. Water. She had none. But there was something else. She grabbed a melted ration pack from the nearby wreck and squeezed the gel into his mouth. He choked, then swallowed. His eyes opened. Blurry, but clearer than before. "You again," he whispered. "You alive?" she said firmly. He gave a weak smile. "Barely." Then he coughed hard. She held his shoulder until it stopped. He looked at her with more awareness now, trying to sit up. "You stayed?" "Yes." "Why?" "You gave helmet." "I gave back life." "That's not how war works," he said softly. She paused. Maybe war is wrong. They both sat in silence. Then his head turned slowly. "What's that sound?" She froze. Her ears caught at 2 metal footsteps, not light like drones, heavy, marching. Getting closer, she knew the pattern. Her people. Patrol bots. If they scanned them, it was over. "We have to move," she whispered. "I can't walk. Then I carry." "No, you can't even stand." "I try," she said. Her voice had no doubt in it. She looked around, spotted a service vent, barely large enough for a body. It led deeper into the lower levels of the ruin, dark, dangerous but hidden. She moved to pull him, but he grabbed her arm. "You don't even know me," he said. "You breathe," she said, "so you matter." He stared at her. For a moment, he forgot she wasn't human. She wasn't a monster. She was just someone who didn't want to watch someone else die again. She dragged him to the vent. Her legs scraped the floor, but she didn't stop. He winced with each pull. His arm bled from the edge of metal, but he stayed quiet. Inside the vent, it was pitch black. Warm air moved through it. Old air, recycled, but still better than outside. They crawled in together. Behind them, the heavy patrol steps grew louder. 1 second later, a scanning light passed by the vent's outer edge, but it didn't see them. Not yet. Inside the vent, the human whispered, "What's your name?" She looked at him for a moment, then answered, "Ryla." "Mine's Kern," he said before coughing again. "Okay, Kern," she said. "No dying until I say so." For the first time, he laughed. The tunnel was dark, narrow, and full of old dust. Every breath was heavy. But it wasn't poison, just the stale air of a forgotten base. Ryla pulled Kern through slowly, careful not to hit his head on the sharp metal edges. Her broken leg dragged uselessly behind her, but she didn't stop. She couldn't, not after what he did for her. Kern's breathing was shallow. His eyes blinked open now and then, but he barely spoke. He was weak to crawl, but his gaze stayed on her. "You're bleeding," he whispered once. She wiped her mouth with her wrist. "So are you." He smiled faintly. "This tunnel. Where does it go?" She paused. "Maintenance level, maybe. I don't know." "You don't know? Not human base?" she muttered. "Built by old species. Before your kind. Before mine." Kern didn't ask more. He just closed his eyes again. Ryla kept moving. The tunnel curved downward. Every sound echoed her breath, her dragging leg, the scrape of metal. Her arms burned. Her fingers felt numb, but she pulled. It was strange. A few hours ago, she would have killed him without hesitation. Now, she was crawling through death tunnels, dragging his body with all the strength she had left. Something had changed, not just in her, but in him, too. She had never seen a human without armor, never seen one cry or laugh or give away his. Only breath. Her people said humans were cold and clever, no heart, no honor. But Kern was nothing like that, and she didn't understand why. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber. Old lights flickered from the ceiling, barely alive. Dust floated in beams of weak light. The room was quiet, too quiet, but it looked stable. They were safe. Mila lowered Kern onto a cracked floor mat. She sat beside him, breathing hard. The pain in her leg pulsed like fire. But she was alive. He was alive. That was enough. Kern opened his eyes again. "Where are we, old base?" she answered. "Maybe mining. Maybe worse." "Great," he muttered. "You saved me. Now we're lost underground." She looked at him. "You'd rather be dead?" He looked back, then smirked. "Not really." She almost smiled. Then she stood slowly, using the wall for balance. Her eyes scanned the room. There were broken tools, rusted panels, and old tech, mostly useless. But in the corner, she saw something. A control station. She limped to it and wiped the dust from the screen. The interface buzzed to life. Strange symbols filled the glass, half in Korean language, half in something ancient, but she understood. Enough. There was a map. Not of the entire base, just this section. A long tunnel led to a sealed door marked in red. Beyond it's an airlock, possibly a shuttle dock. If they were lucky, maybe an escape pod. She turned to Kern. "I found something." Raised a brow. "A way out? Maybe, or maybe death?" She nodded. "Yes." He gave a dry chuckle. "Well, I'm already halfway there. Might as well go the rest." She came back and helped him sit up. He leaned on her shoulder. Together they stood. Step by step, they walked toward the tunnel. It was long, twisting, cold. Each step was harder than the last, but they kept going. Ryla felt her body weakening. Her arm trembled from holding him. Her leg dragged uselessly. But she kept moving, because he did. Because he hadn't let her die at the end of the tunnel. The red-sealed door waited. She pressed her palm to the panel. Nothing. No power. "She," whispered Kern, pulled a small energy cell from his belt. "Try this." She stared at him. "You had that the whole time?" she asked. He shrugged. Didn't think it'd matter until now. She took it and plugged it into the panel. The door clicked. Lights flickered. The seal broke with a hiss on. The door slid open. A blast of cold air hit their faces. Ryla stepped through first. Eyes widened. It wasn't a shuttle. It was an observation room, wide glass walls, overlooking a giant underground pit filled with machinery. No escape pod, no exit. Only a single working terminal. Kern leaned against the wall, breath shaking. Well, not quite what I hoped for. Ryla walked to the terminal. She tapped the keys slowly, reading the data. Her eyes narrowed, then widened. She turned to Kern, voice low. "This place wasn't built by us." "Then who?" "Humans." He frowned. "Impossible. This place is older than Earth's space." "Age." She shook her head. "Not Earth humans. Something else. Another branch. Another silence. Another mystery. Another reason to stay alive." The observation room was cold and silent. Kern sat with his back against the wall, struggling to keep his eyes open. His lips were cracked. His breaths came shallow but steady. Ryla stood at the old terminal, her fingers hovering over blinking keys. Strange symbols glowed in green, flickering between human script and something older, something alien even to her. She didn't speak for a long time. Then finally, she turned. "This place is not just a shelter," she said softly. Kern looked up. "Then what is it?" She pointed toward the glass wall, beyond which strange machinery rested in a deep pit. "This is a memory vault. It keeps history, weapons, blueprints, voices." She walked slowly to him. "Yours, your people, a long time ago." Kern frowned. "Humans didn't build this. We only arrived on this moon 10 years ago?" Ryla shook her head. "No, your kind was here long before that. This is proof." She pressed a panel on the wall, and a soft hum filled the room. Lights flickered. Then a voice began to play. It was human, but not like Kern's. It was older, colder, sharper. Project Horizon failed. Biofilter resources too unstable. Human subject 39 gave final breath to save cross-species test subject. Observation noted. The recording ended. Kern stared at the speaker, his body tense. Did it just say, "Human subject 39 gave his breath"? Ryla nodded slowly. Kern laughed once hollow. "So, I'm not the first." "No," she said, "but maybe the last." He looked at her, confused. She explained what she had found. This vault had been sealed for over 200 years. It was a hidden lab. Scientists once used it for tests on survival, on trust between species, on fear. All of them ended in death. Sacrifice. But there was one thing they didn't expect. A human giving up his last breath, just to save someone else. Again and again, the pattern returned. Human gives life. Alien survives, and no one knew why. Kern leaned back thinking, maybe we're just that stupid. She gave him a tired look. Or that strong. They both sat in silence for a moment. Then Ryla stood and limped to a supply rack on the wall. The energy reading still worked. Inside were two things, a power cell and a single water pouch. She brought them to him without a word. Kern drank first, then handed it back. She hesitated, then drank too. The moment was quiet. Not like war, not like fear, just two people, breathing. The same air, staffed. After all they'd lost, then a beep sounded from the console. Ryla turned quickly. The screen showed something new, a signal, faint, distant, but real. "Distress beacon," she said friendly. He asked, "I don't know." She tapped a few more keys. The signal was coming from the surface. North Ridge, near a canyon edge, but the tunnel to get there was long. Too long, and she could barely walk. Kern pulled himself up, using the wall. "For balance, we can make it. Can't even stand," she said flatly. "You dragged me through a tunnel with one leg, can crawl if I have to." She paused, then nodded. They loaded the power cell into a small emergency field pack. It had heating cloth, one stim injector, a weak cum booster. As they stepped out of the vault, the hallway lit up in front of them. The base was waking. Ryla looked at him. "If we make it out, you'll turn me in?" he asked. "No," she said, her voice calm. "I'll protect you." He gave her a look of surprise. She looked away. "My people will say I betrayed." "Them," she whispered. "But I don't care." He nodded slowly. "They'll say the same about me. You'll still choose to walk with me." He smiled. "I already did when I gave you my helmet." They walked, limping, tired, broken but together above them. The moon quaked. Storms of dust rolled over the broken surface. Somewhere out there was a signal and hope. Asterisk. They moved like shadows across the moon's surface, two figures limping. Through the red haze, wrapped in worn cloth and silence, Ryla led the way, leaning on a broken spear for balance. The stim injector had numbed her leg for now, but the pain would return. Her silver blue skin shimmered faintly under the clouded sky. Beside her, Kern walked slowly, wrapped in the heating cloth from the vault. Every step shook his body, but he kept moving. Neither spoke much. Every breath could be their last. Then, from Ryla's belt, a crackle. Voice: Ryla. Respond. Status update. Is the human still alive? She froze. It was General Vorn's voice, her commander. Kern stopped, eyes sharp. They found you. She swallowed hard and tapped her cum, still moving. Human wounded. Good. You've gained his trust. Proceed with final order. Terminate him. Kern's jaw clenched. Ryla stared at the sky, her face frozen. Her finger hovered over the cum. Ryla. Respond. Firm termination. Kern's voice was low. Is that your plan? She looked at him, eyes stormy. No. He raised an eyebrow. No. She took the cum from her belt and crushed it under her boot. Sparks flew. No more orders, she said. Not from them. Kern didn't smile. He just nodded. Gonna get you killed, maybe, she said, but I won't kill someone who gave me his last breath. They kept walking. Hours passed. The moon's wind howled around them, kicking up ash and bone-dry sand. The two climbed over wreckage, slipped down metal cliffs, crossed old trenches full of rusted tanks. Then Dash Finalia signal tower appeared in the distance. Twisted, bent, but active, they reached its base. Kern fell to his knees. Ryla dropped. Beside him, he looked up at the blinking light. This is it, she nodded. If the signal works, someone will come. But who? Before she could answer, a new sound filled the air. Engines, low, deep, not human. Ryla's eyes widened. Karen drop pods, 3 of them, descended from the red clouds above. Hissing with steam, soldiers spilled out, toll, armored and armed. Ryla pulled Kern behind a broken rock wall. Her fingers reached for her old blade, but Kern grabbed her hand. Don't. I won't let them take you. They'll kill you first. She looked down at him. What if I make them listen? Frowned. Do they ever listen? She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped into the open. The soldiers raised their rifles. Ryla raised her arms. It's me, Commander Rylovan, of the Ash Guard. She shouted. The lead soldier stepped forward. You were declared rogue. Saved a human. A traitor's words. He gave me his helmet. She shouted. Wait. His last breath. Silence. Even the wind seemed to stop. The soldier hesitated. Where is he? She pointed behind the rock. Kern stepped out slowly. He didn't raise his hands. He just looked tired. The soldier's weapon shifted toward him. Ryla stepped in front of him. You shoot him. She said. You shoot me too. You broke the code. I followed a higher one. The soldier's eyes narrowed. We don't protect humans. She stared him down. Then I'm no longer one of you. A long silence passed. Then the soldier lowered his weapon. What? Do you want? He asked. Ryla looked back at Kern, then at the ship. Help him. Or let me go where he goes.
Can't leave your people?
I already did, she whispered. Snowfall had begun fine. White particles drifting from the broken sky. They weren't real snow, just frozen dust, falling over a battlefield long forgotten. Kern sat on the metal ramp of the alien dropship, legs dangling. His ribs still bruised, but he was alive. He looked down at his hands. They trembled not from fear, but from the strange truth that haunted him now. He was only breathing because of an alien. And not just any alien, a warrior who should have killed him. But instead she stood beside him, now silent, watching. The sky, wrapped in a simple, gray cloak. RHI. She hadn't spoken much since the standoff. The Karen soldiers had called in medics, but made it clear she was no longer one of them. Her rank was gone. Her name whispered in shame across their channels. Still, it didn't harm her, because of what she did. Because of the human she protected, Kern. She said quietly, your people. They'll take you back, he shrugged. Maybe in me. He looked at her. What do you want? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked to the edge of the ship ramp and looked out over the cracked moon surface, miles of dead machines, broken towers, and silent ruins. Then she turned to him. I want to see what kind of world a man like you comes from. He raised an eyebrow. A world full of chaos. Loud streets. Rain that actually smells nice. That sounds strange. You'll get used to it. She nodded once, then her voice lowered. No, I can't go back to my people. Not after what I did. You didn't do anything wrong. I disobeyed. I protected you. You saved someone who saved you. Ryla gave a faint smile. They won't see it that way. Kern leaned back on his elbows. Then maybe it's time you stopped caring what they see. Silence fell again, but it wasn't heavy now. It was peaceful. Moments later, a human shuttle appeared on the horizons, slow, quiet, and shining with familiar blue lights. It landed gently beside the alien ship. The door opened, for humans stepped out armed. Cautious, Ryla stood straight, but didn't reach for a weapon. Kern walked to them slowly, his steps careful. One of the soldiers moved forward. Lieutenant. Kern. He nodded. The soldier's eyes flicked to Ryla. That's Karen. Should we detain her? Kern didn't hesitate. She's under my protection, he said. She's a war asset. She's not. She's my reason for still being here. The soldier stared at him, then slowly, gave a nod. Understood. Kern turned back to Ryla. You coming? She looked at the humans, uncertain. You trust them? She asked. I don't trust anyone, he said, but I trust what we've been through. That was enough. She stepped forward, one step, then another. The soldiers watched her closely but didn't stop her. Together. They boarded the shuttle, the door sealed. Inside, Kern and Ryla sat side by side. No weapons, no masks. It's just too broken. Warriors heading somewhere they didn't understand but weren't afraid to reach. As the shuttle lifted, Ryla looked out the window. Down below, the broken moon faded into shadows. She placed her hand gently over her chest. There, inside her armor was the cracked piece of his old helmet, the one that had saved her life. Kern noticed. You kept it? I owed you more than words, he smiled. Then here's a word I haven't said yet. What? Thanks? She turned to him, her golden eyes calm. Don't thank me yet, she said. You haven't seen how bad I am with human food? He laughed, and for the first time in days, maybe years, it felt real.